We have First Bank and Trust too.
Yes. You ready? Okay, today's July the 18th, 2023. This is the Virginia Gas and Oil Board, and we are at the Virginia Energy headquarters in Big Stone Gap, and this is the July board meeting. If the first item on the docket is the board will approve or review the remote attendance resolution for the board members that are contacted with us remotely. Do we need to call a roll and establish a quorum first? Ms. Gilmer, will you call roll, please?
Mrs. Quillen,
Yes.
Mr. Prather,
Yes.
Ms. Surratt,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Jensen,
Yes.
and Mr. Cochran.
Sarah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
I think to comply with FOIA, the way we ought to be counting roll is we will only initially count roll of people who are physically present. And for anyone who's joining remotely, we'll count them in the roll once they've been formally admitted into the meeting by resolution.
Okay,
All right. Having said that and understand that, and the minutes would reflect the comments. The first one we would consider is Mr. Cochran, who is attending remotely due to being 60 miles or more away from this location. So we have a motion to accept Mr. Cochran to the meeting.
Motion to accept.
Have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Gilmore, you call the roll of those present, please.
Ms. Surratt,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
and Mr. Jensen.
Yes.
Thank you. That is approved. The next one is Mr. Prather, who is also more than 60 miles away from this location. We have a motion to approve Mr. Prather participating remotely.
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, Ms. Gilmore, would you pull the board one more time, please?
Ms. Surratt,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, that one is approved. The next one is Ms. Quillen, who is attending remotely due to some health issues. Do we have a motion to accept Ms. Quillen into the meeting?
Motion made.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Gilmore, will you poll the board one more time, please?
Ms. Surratt,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
and Mr. Jensen.
Yes.
Very good. Now everyone's in the meeting. Any questions? We are recording the proceedings, so we'd ask everyone to mute or turn off your cell phones. And now that we're all in the same room, we'll ask Ms. Surratt if she would start introducing herself, and we'll introduce the board members.
I'm Rita Surratt, public member.
I'm Bill Harris, a public member.
I'm Donnie Ratliff. I represent Cole.
Gus Jansen, public member.
Ms. Quillen
A public member.
and Mr. Prather.
I'm Bruce Fraser. I represent the oil and gas industry on the board.
And Mr. Cochran.
Willie Cochran, I'm the Virginia Energy member.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda, or the second item on the agenda, is to receive public comments. And we have anyone online? Since there's no one here. Seeing no one, we'll go to the report from the First Bank and Trust, our escrow agent for the Gas and Oil Board, for the quarterly report from April to June 23.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm assuming that everyone already has a copy of the presentation. So we'll
We
go
do.
ahead and this is for the second quarter of 2023. The agenda for the presentation is on page 2. So starting with page 3, this is our summary for the second quarter. We started out with a beginning balance of $5,133,443.22. We had deposits received of $31,946.74. We earned interest from the money market and the Cedars CDs of $15,111.08. Fees were deducted from the accounts of $5,128.99. Total distributions for the quarter were $45,287.10, leaving us an ending balance of June the 30th of $5,130,084.95. In 2023, so far, we've processed 5 treasury dockets for a total of $639.86. We've processed 14 other dockets for a total of $104,133.14. We've issued over 125 checks so far this year, and they range from 7 cents to over $28,000. 70 of those checks were issued for less than $100, and 30 of those were for less than $1. Starting on page 5, this is a list of all of the outstanding checks as of June 30th. And as you all are well aware, the list is long. And that goes all the way through to page 29. And we have a little over $92,000 outstanding right now. The next several pages are our check escheatment for 2023. And this is a long list as well. But if you remember back 5 years ago, we had dockets that had 1,500 checks on those dockets. So we have several outstanding checks still that will be escheated to the state, but the dollar amount is low. So it's less than $3,000 that will be escheated this year. On page 37, the next several pages are the balance sheet, and this is as of June 30th. So this lists each individual account, their beginning balance, any deposits received, the money market interest, the Cedars CDs interest, the fees that were deducted from each account, any distributions, any transfers to the No W-9 spreadsheet, audit costs, which there were none, corrections, and then the ending market value for each individual account. And that goes through page 46. And starting on page 47 is a list of all of the names that are on the No W-9 list. So these people were on previous dockets but had not submitted their W-9. So there's several pages of those, and it lists beginning market value for each one of them, interest received, fees deducted, distributions, and then the ending market value for each individual person. And as of June 30th, there was over $40,000 sitting in that account with 431 lines on the spreadsheet. Not necessarily names, but individual line items. Page 58 is our annual distributions report. So this shows each year what was brought in royalty and working income, any distributions that were made, and the net contributions to the account. So 2023, we've brought in over $70,000 and dispersed out $104,000. Page 59 is the investment of the funds. Right now, all of the money is sitting in the money market account. All of the CDs have now matured. So at this point, we're ready to reinvest back the $1 million that we had previously reinvested over a year ago, I guess. So if everybody is on board with reinvesting the same way, I think we did $250,000 for 3 months, $250,000 for 6 months, $250,000 for 9 months, and $250,000 for 12 months at the best possible CD rates that we could get.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Ms. Squire.
I make a motion that we reinvest that in the CDs for the 3, 6, 9, and 12 months.
$1 million, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We have a motion, well, we have a second.
I'd like to second, but I want to discuss
I do
that
too.
first. Yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Mr.
Well, I wanted to get the second in place, but I know there's usually discussion before vote, but I'm not sure what the discussion would be. I just wanted to look at the rates. But I didn't want the motion to die before we,
I would push, rather than 3, 6, 9, and 12. I don't know that there's an immediate need in the next 3 or 6 months. We can capture more bang for the buck if we extend that timeline out. That was my comment. But whatever the pleasure of the board.
Donnie, would you repeat that?
I would, rather than do 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, I don't know that there's an immediate need for that money. And I would suggest that we not invest 3 and 6 months, that we push it out further to gain a better interest rate. Does that make sense?
yeah, what did this crystal ball show?
Yes. The CD rates are up right now. So, what do you suggest that I amend that timeline, that we invested just on 9 and 12 month CDs?
That's up to the board, but I just think that we're wasting an opportunity to do 3 and 6, but Mr. Harris, what's your?
Okay, I'll make
Well-
my motion.
We can amend the motion.
Yes, I amend my motion to call for the investment in 9-month and 12-month CDs.
For $1 million divided equally.
Yes, 50-50.
Okay, we have an amended motion. We have a second to that.
I'm still studying the rates. I mean, I'm on board for still seconding the motion, but I'm just not sure
That we've got the right
that
numbers.
we have the right numbers. Yeah.
Okay,
If you look at the last page of the slideshow, it gives you the CD rates. And the 3 months range from 5.25 to 5.35. Not a change in the 6 months. The 9 months, the lowest one that I saw on 9 months was 5.20, and they ranged to 5.35.
so
If we
12 months.
pushed it out 12 months and 18 months, the interest rates are a little bit higher. They range out to 5.5 for both of those.
I like that better.
Yeah, the payouts have not been. I guess we'd have to look back and see what the payouts have been relative to the amount that's there.
But didn't you say that in the last quarter that the payout was about 120,000?
The total paid out for 2023 has been 104,000.
Yeah, the past several years have been averaging about $1.5 million, but I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that this year. At the rate we're seeing applications coming in at this time,
Yeah, relative to what's in there.
relative to what's in there, correct?
You still have $4 million in cash.
Yeah.
And we could always invest more than $1 million if the board is comfortable with doing more than $1 million. The $1 million has just been a standard that we had been investing over the last couple of years.
Well, that was due to the low interest rates.
Right.
Yeah,
And since the interest rates have, but out there 18 months, I mean, anybody else have an input on that?
I'd be comfortable with putting $2 million in for 12 months. If the rates were,
Oh,
at the rate we're handling disbursements right now, unless something,
put
we see
2
something
million
changing.
in at 12
Right,
for 12.
correct.
Now, let me just do worst case. Worst case is, now this is a fixed rate, so this rate won't go down, but if we have to take it out early, there's a penalty in
Right.
but the penalty is we won't get maybe 5, we may get 3% instead of, I mean, how do they handle the penalty?
The penalties are you lose the interest on the CDs.
But the
So
principal,
worst case,
I'm sorry.
That's
we
what
wouldn't invest the
concerns
$2
me
million.
about stretching it out to 18 months.
Wait a minute, okay, and I got two different answers there. So let's say we put in 2 million for 12 months or 18 months. And after 12 months, we realize, oh, that was too much. We need some of that back. And we take out 1 million. So we would suffer a penalty in the, so instead of getting 5.5%, we'd get only 2%, or we'd lose the whole 5.5% on that 1 million. How would that work?
You would lose the interest on that CD.
Okay, but we still get the principal back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But these are the same. So why would we go 18?
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's gonna be years.
Yeah, Donnie just mentioned that, yeah, that 5.5 is the same for 12 and 18, so. Yeah, we'd be better off at 12.
So do we have an
I agree.
amendment? Do we have an amendment to the amendment?
Well, why don't we just scrap that motion?
Ms.
Just make a new
Quill-
motion.
Ms. Quillen, would you withdraw your motion and we'll start off?
I withdraw my amendment. I guess for the 9 and 12 months, and we can entertain a new motion to invest in the 12 months, the 2 million for 12 months.
Okay, we've withdrawn that motion. Now are you making the motion now that we put 2 million for 12 months?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Okay, I'll second that.
Now, any discussion? Hearing none.
Well,
Go ahead.
is 2 million the right amount? Is that, I mean, I certainly wouldn't do more. Is that,
Based on the last 3 years of what's gone out, I think we're safe.
Yeah, I wouldn't, push it too much.
no, I wouldn't, I'm not saying more. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I tend to be conservative on those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy.
Any other comments? Ms. Gilmore, will you poll the board, please?
Mrs. Quillen,
Yes.
Mr. Prather,
Yes,
Mrs. Surratt. Yes. Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff.
Yes.
Mr. Jensen,
Yes.
and Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
So that is approved. Thank you.
So that's $2 million invested for 12 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
We will get those purchased over the next couple of days. And that'll get us a better interest rate than what we've been getting.
Okay, we have one more question while you're on the line.
Ms. Maney, I'll just so I make sure I understand how your summary works. On page 3, the distributions total $45,287.10 for the quarter. Under the accounts, as you list those out, the total there that was distributed, and I'm assuming that's for the whole quarter, was only 26,540 to 554.05. Is the rest of distributions part of the outstanding checks? Or what is
So you're looking at the balance sheet for the
Correct.
distributions?
right?
Okay, so that balance sheet is only for the month of June.
Okay, that's only the month of June. Okay, that clears it up. I just wasn't sure about that.
Okay, the summary page is for the whole quarter, but
The whole
the
quarter. Okay,
balance sheet is only for the month of June.
okay. So we probably closed some other accounts over the last 3 months other than just the one that's shown here? Or is that?
Yeah.
Without going back and looking at the other one then?
Without going back and looking at the other ones, but I'm pretty sure there's been several accounts that have closed over the quarter.
Okay. Okay, and I had just one other question. I think this is probably more for the staff than Ms. Maney, but on these accounts, and I just looked at a couple of them on the very first page there on page 37. For instance, there's an account 0031 is for the well Y9, which I think has been plugged and released. What's the process once a well has been, once there's no longer anything producing in that well, there's been no new deposits? How do we clear that account out at some point in time? There's no well left there anymore in that unit. What happens there? Does the operator need to file? Do they need to be told to file, or how does that work when there's no more wells in the unit?
Typically, the operator will on their
I
own.
mean, this has been showing up for several months.
Oh, yeah, so I will let Kelly with CNX or Pocahontas Gas know that we're expecting them to send in a petition for disbursement on that.
Okay. And then the other question I had was just, I just looked at another well there, the P35 well, that well's producing obviously, but there's been shown no deposits on the last 2 reports. So how often do deposits get made by the operators in the reports? Are they behind 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, or 2 months, or how does that work?
Send them in monthly. I don't know, is this a new one, P35?
No, that's an old well.
Okay, I don't know why they haven't, if they're getting ready to do a disbursement, that sometimes they'll put a hold on the account so that it doesn't overlap with the disbursement.
Right.
So that possibly could be what they're getting ready to do there, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I think we've had a few discussions about this in the past. Is it a big deal to maybe add to this spreadsheet the status of the wells associated with the units? If there are active wells, are they shut in, or are they been plugged and released? Because I think I've brought this up before that there were some other ones that have been plugged and released at some point in time. So that we know that those should be being addressed in the short term.
We could add that if Jody's okay with allowing us to add that status on there. We could add that. That shouldn't be a problem.
Sometimes the amount of gas you're producing doesn't make a profit to the operator. With the prices up and down the way they are right now, some of these wells won't produce any income because they aren't making any income for the operator.
Right.
Because of the price.
Sure, I understand that, Mr. Brandon. We got some deposits here for a penny, so.
Yeah.
That's.
Anything further, Ms. Manning?
That's it.
Ms. Manning, we certainly appreciate your efforts and what you do for the board. Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Manning? Hearing none, you're free to go, unless you want to
Okay.
stay on and join the party. Thank-
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the docket is petition from Key Rock Energy LLC for modification of location exception found on docket number 22-1018-4250. It's unit KY4, docket number VGOB 22-1018-4250-01. All parties interested, please come forward.
Brady Mullins representing Key Rock, Mr. Rathman.
Morgan Pate, representing Key Rock.
You may proceed. You need to swear in Mr. Bates.
You swear and affirm that your testimony is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Rathman. Mr. Pate, please state your name and how you're employed.
Morgan Pate, I'm senior geologist for Key Rock Energy.
And Key Rock Energy LLC, is it authorized to conduct business in the Commonwealth of Virginia?
Yes.
And there's a bond on file with this department?
Yes.
And you're familiar with this modification of well location exception that we're here on today?
Yes.
And that, like I said, that involves a modification of a previously granted well exception,
Yes,
well location exception. Is the unit that this well would cover, is it located in the Nora coal bed or coal bed gas field?
yes, sir.
How many acres does it contain?
527.
And can you tell the board a little bit about what Key Rock would plan to do if the well location exception was granted?
We would proceed with drilling a well into the sealed area of Deep Mine 41 for the purpose of gas production, flaring that gas to generate environmental offsets, carbon credits.
And those would then be marketed.
Yes, sir.
And what seam of coal is the coal bed methane produced from?
The Jawbone.
And the Key Rock has obtained leases for the unit, correct?
Yes, 100% Intervest.
All right. And how was Intervest informed of this proceeding that we're here on today?
Certified mail return receipt requested.
And that documentation has been filed with this board?
Yes.
And there's no unknown owners in the unit?
No, sir.
And what percentage of the unit does Key Rock currently have under lease?
100%.
And that has already previously been pooled by this board, is that correct?
Yes.
What's the proposed depth of this well and its a revised location?
1,080 feet.
And what are the estimated reserves?
1,023 MMCF.
And you're familiar with the projected well cost, this modified well cost?
Yes, sir.
And did you participate in the AFE that's been filed with this application?
Yes.
And what's the estimated dry hole cost?
Approximately 197,000.
And this board previously granted a location exception dated by order dated November 10th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can you tell the board why Key Rock is now seeking a modification of that previously granted location exception?
The first well drilled into this sealed area encountered roof problems and a mine flood. And so we're moving the location to a higher part of the mine.
And is the proposed revised well location, is it 425 feet from Intervest Operating LLC well number BC 3618?
Yes.
And is Key Rock requesting this board to enter an order to enable Key Rock number 4 to be drilled as depicted on the application that's been filed?
Yes, sir.
And is the proposed revised well location necessary to effectively and efficiently drain a portion of the common sources underlying the unit?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that that cannot adequately and efficiently be done without an exception to the distance limitations and spacing rules?
Yes, sir.
And that would be our evidence, Mr. Chair.
Anything further?
No, sir.
Any questions from the board?
Just to clarify here, the exhibit on page 5, exhibit A, shows proposed Key Rock 4A in the grid BC 43. And the exhibit on page 7 does not show the 4A, but it shows the 4. Is that correct? Am I missing something there? It shows the well be at 44.
And which exhibit was that, Mr. Jansen?
On page 5, exhibit A, shows the proposed Key Rock 4A in BC 43. Go to page 7. In unit BC 43, there is no proposed well. It shows one in, I guess the well you've already drilled, which was in BF 44. Is that correct?
So the BF 44 was the one that was previously drilled, yes, sir.
So it's not proposed anymore. It's already been drilled.
It's already been drilled.
Is that well plugged? That's the thing. Is it plugged back?
We are waiting the MSHA approval to plug it.
Okay. So does this exhibit need to be revised to show the original location and the new proposed location?
If that's the pleasure of the board, we'll be
Yeah, I
glad to
think
do
it
so.
should be reflecting both those well locations.
We-
Plat probably should reflect both well. Well, your plat, you're showing 2 separate plats, I think. It'll show up on this one, it's so far away, but on this exhibit, I think the adequate put on page 7. And you may also want to include that on the exhibit L, show the proposed location and the existing location you've already.
All right, just to make sure, Mr. Jansen, that we're doing what the board requests, you want an exhibit that shows the one that was attempted and failed,
Correct.
and then you want one where we're proposing it now.
Clear that
Yes, sir.
two locations there for both those exhibits. And I'm assuming that the general location map is showing the new location. Exhibit page 11. There's nothing to reference there of anything on that. You may need to start showing offsetting wells in there so we can get reference to where that was.
Okay. Ms. Gilmore will tell you, we weren't sure what exactly we needed to file. This is a new type of application, so we'll be glad to get you what you need.
Yeah, typically the general location maps show all the wells that encompassed on the map typically, along with your proposed location. So that gives the board a sense of what activity is going on, stuff like that.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And I think we also asked before previously too, like the exhibit on page 17, you were going to start showing all the units that have been approved to date by the board.
As far as the Key Rock wells,
Right. All the units are associated with this mine. So we have a reference of all the units in the area.
That would be in the form of basically a full mine map that showed each individual unit.
Yeah, you could probably do it on this exhibit here. That's what we talked about before. Showing all the units that you've had approved to date.
Anything else, Vince?
That's all I had.
Any questions from anyone else? Do we have a motion to approve the draft order, this petition?
I'll make that motion.
We have got a motion, we have a second.
That's subject to the changes.
Yes. I'm
Subject
sorry.
to those changes.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Gilmore, will you poll the board, please?
Mrs. Quillen? Mrs. Quillen?
Yes.
Mr. Prather?
Yes.
Mrs. Surratt?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
I abstain.
Mr. Jansen?
Yes.
And Mr. Cochran?
Yes.
Thank you. You have approval for that draft order. The next item on the docket is petition from Key Rock Energy LLC for modification. Location accepted fell on docket number 22-1115-4253. The unit is K5. KY5. I'm sorry. Docket numbers VGOB 22-1115-4253-01. All parties interested, please come forward.
Freddie Mullins representing Key Rock Energy LLC.
Morgan Pate with Key Rock Energy.
You may proceed, Mr. Mullins.
And Mr. Pate, you've previously been sworn.
Yes, sir.
And could you please state your name and your employment for the board?
Morgan Pate, geologist for Key Rock Energy.
And Key Rock Energy LLC is authorized to conduct business in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yes.
And there's a bond on file with this department to that effect. Is that also correct?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the application that's currently before this board.
Yes.
And this is for a revision to a previously granted well location exception.
Yes, sir.
And that's for a coal bed methane well.
Yes.
And is that located in the Nora coal bed gas field?
Yes.
And how many acres does this unit contain?
234.
And can you explain to the board what Key Rock will plan to do if this well location exception is granted?
We will drill into the sealed works of D mine 41 for the purpose of flaring gas off the mine to generate carbon credit.
And those would be marketed.
Yes, sir.
And what seam of coal is the coal bed methane produced from?
The jawbone seam.
And for this particular unit, has Key Rock obtained leases for the entire unit?
Yes, Intervest owns 100%.
And Intervest has been informed of this proceeding?
Yes, sir.
And you don't have any unknown owners in the unit?
No, sir.
And this unit has, 100% of this unit's already been pooled, is that correct?
Yes.
And what is the proposed depth of this well?
About 950 feet.
And what are the estimated reserves?
586 MMCF.
And you have participated in the preparation of an AFE file with this application concerning the cost of the well?
Yes, sir.
And what is the estimated dry hole cost?
Approximately 202,000.
Now, the board has previously granted a location exception for the proposed Key Rock number 5 by order dated March 10th, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
And why is Key Rock seeking a modification of that well location exception?
After drilling our first well and encountering water, and adverse mine conditions, we met with, the mine and, jointly agreed that it might be wise to move this location slightly higher up dip.
And this proposed well location exception, it's 999 feet from Intervest Operating LLC well number VC 3971.
Yes,
And you're asking, Key Rock is asking the board to enter an order to enable it, to enable Key Rock to drill Key Rock number 5 as presented in the application.
yes.
And is the proposed revised well location necessary to effectively and efficiently drain a portion of the common sources of supply underlying the unit?
Yes,
And that it cannot adequately be efficiently drained without an exception to the distance limitations and spacing rules?
correct.
And taking into account Mr. Jansen's comments from the last petition, we do not have the information that he requested in this application, do we, as far as the revised exhibits?
We do not.
But we are willing to supply those.
Of course, and the first number 5 permit, the previously approved well will not be drilled.
It's not, and so it will not show up as a proposed failed well. It'll just be shown as relocated.
I believe the permit application itself was rejected and all items that application have been updated to reflect the new location or are being updated.
Okay. And that would be our evidence, Mr. Ratman.
Thank you. Anything further? Any questions from the board?
Just one question, just curious. There also sounds like there would be safety issues as well.
They're definitely,
Right?
and you're definitely correct, both in the sense of drilling and flaring mine gas. Part of the permit application as we go through this is an approved MSHA plan. So Key Rock and Paramount are working jointly and have submitted a plan to MSHA that details all the safety procedures for both the drilling and the flaring of this well. And that entire plan will be attached to the permit application.
Very good. I just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Quillen. Anything else, Mr. Jansen?
No.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm fine with the application. If we'll make the same revisions as in the prior applications.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve a draft order on this petition,
Subject to the changes.
subject to the
Motion
changes.
approved, including those changes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll second.
So Ms. Quillen made the motion
Yes.
And I'll second.
and Mr. Harris second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Gilmore, will you poll the board, please?
Ms. Quillen,
Yes.
Mr. Prather,
Yes.
Mrs. Surratt,
yes,
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
I abstain.
Mr. Jansen,
Yeah.
and Mr. Cochran.
yes,
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. That draft order's approved as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. We also like to thank staff. Like I said, this was a new type of petition. They actually created a petition type for us for this. So we very much appreciate their help.
I have one other question for Key Rock related to the Deep Mine 26 application that you're currently working on. Do you have a status update on?
We completed, yes, sir. We completed title. I've sent title to Bill Sills at ATS to map out the entire sealed area with percentages and names. And I'm hoping he has that to Mr. Mullins by the end of the week, sometime sooner than later. We had anticipated trying to have it ready for the August board.
Probably September.
But it probably will be, but title is complete and it's being mapped out right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
the cutoff for the August meeting was at 5 o'clock on the 14th. So, and right now we have no petition, so we will not meet in August. Okay. All right, we appreciate that. The board will receive an update from staff. Thank from.
No updates.
No updates, but good report.
Anything?
We need to approve the meeting. We have a motion to approve the minutes from June.
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor, do this one different. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. If no one else has anything for the good of the order, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a
Meeting
good
is adjourned.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
See you.
All right.